This is the Best or Worst Podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Koji Stephen Sakai and M. Martin Mapoma.
Welcome. This is Koji.
And this is Martin.
And this is the Best or Worst Podcast on Zoom. So if the volume isn't, or if the sound isn't 1000% awesome and it's not as good as my studio, then it is what it is. And
we are still social distancing. What day are we in now, Koji?
Like 1 million.
Yeah, because you're usually good at keeping those kind of details.
Yeah, no, I'm not. But it doesn't really matter ultimately, because even when we're social distancing, my kid's still not going to be able to do summer stuff. So I'm still going to be home and stuck with them at home with my kid. So I don't think things have changed. I don't think things are going to change all that much. But before I forget, this is episode number 32. And so we're
32.
I know I can't believe we've done 32 episodes already. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But one of the great things about Zoom is that we're able to bring a bunch of people from faraway lands to us. But in this case, my friend Thomas Lim is not from far away. He's actually lives like 2 blocks from my house.
That's right.
He's all the way in South Pasadena with me. But Thomas, welcome.
Thank you, Koji, and thank you, Martin, for having me. Yeah.
Our pleasure.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I mean, what do you do?
Okay. Well, I'm a film person. I head the LA office for a Hong Kong film company called Sun Entertainment. Been in LA. I'm originally from Singapore. Been in LA 5 years, five and a half almost now.
Cool.
But I've lived all over the world for the last 20 years. So just trying to find the best place to do what I do, and finally got set up here in LA. So
LA, this is the place to be. This
is
the Mecca.
Yes, the Mecca of filmmaking, I guess. Yeah.
And also, I want to say that I took Thomas to a basketball game, a Lakers game, and I've taken other producers from Asia to basketball games who they had no idea what was going on. But when I took Thomas, he's talking about players from like the Indiana Pacers, like maybe 90s, late 90s.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, he knows basketball. That made me like you like a million times better, man.
Yeah. Well, I grew up idolizing Jordan and the Bulls, and now the documentary really is like.
That's my team. Team, Bulls. Yeah. I was there in Chicago those years when they won.
Wow,
it's pretty amazing.
Wow, Did you go to the games, Martin?
I did. I actually worked at Jordan's restaurant way back in the day when he was doing that. Yeah, so I got to see him a lot, and that was kind of surreal.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of surreal.
Wait, did I hear that you hooked up with Michael Jordan? Sorry. And I'm sorry.
You know how funny he is, so I can't acknowledge that on radio on the podcast.
So Thomas, so you grew up in Malaysia. Tell me about, did you stay there? When did you leave? Where did you go after that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, I grew up in Singapore. So I was
sorry, Singapore. I meant Singapore.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Country's right, Koji.
I was born and I grew up in Singapore till I was about 21, and then I went backpacking for a long time. I went backpacking for 6 months straight, which was unheard of at the time, and that was before the time of smartphones. So I relied on guidebooks, like literal guidebooks, and digital like film cameras, like the 35mm film cameras in the beginning, and then the digital cameras later on. Went backpacking for a long time. Then I went to London to study theater. At the time, I was a theater person back in Singapore. But I majored in finance in university in Singapore, though, because Singapore is a financial hub.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and then I went to London to read theater, and then I moved to Beijing. I'm ethnically Chinese, so I'm Chinese Singaporean. I moved to Beijing just to become, in my own terms at the time, more Chinese, to speak better Chinese, and to start myself off in a film or TV industry on a higher platform, on a bigger environment than Singapore was. So China it was at the time for 4 years. And then I moved to Macau and Hong Kong, where I made my first film and subsequently my second film as well as a director.
Oh, cool.
And then that got released in Japan later on, where I moved to. And then I worked there for about 4 years before I came to LA 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago. It was a long journey, about 20 years in total.
Wow. What are your movies called?
My first movie is called Roulette City. The second movie is called Sea of Mirrors. I wrote and directed them. Very low budget, super low budget. I wouldn't talk about the budget until I make a bigger movie. So very low budget. But it brought me here, brought me to where I wanted to come.
That's very cool.
What's your favorite place of all the places? I mean, besides Singapore, what's your favorite place to be?
Well, to live, I mean, if we don't talk about, like, if we put work aside, I mean, for work, like, LA has to be it because it is the film capital of the world. But before then, like, Japan was a great place to live. Like,
what was your favorite part of Japan?
I lived in Tokyo, so I enjoy it. I miss it a lot, to be honest. Like, I visited a couple of times since I moved I moved away from Japan, so I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I love.
I haven't been there yet. I really want to go.
Yeah, I love visiting Japan. I mean, Japan is awesome. I mean, there's a lot of problems with any country, right? But I love. I mean, it's so safe and clean, and the food is so good.
Yeah. You lived there for a while, Koji, didn't you?
No, I never lived there. I've been there a lot. I went there for summers and stuff, but it was always tough for me because I look Japanese, and because I look Japanese, I have an American accent when I speak Japanese, so it sounds funny. And, and back then they're less cosmopolitan than they are today. So it was tough for me. I mean, it's kind of like ABC's American Born Chinese, right? It's the same thing when they go back to China. It's like a little bit different because they sound a little bit different. They act like they walk a little bit different. I mean, the funniest story for me is I remember I walked on the beach once and I didn't even say anything to anyone. And and these kids were making fun of me. And I was like, dude, I didn't even say anything. You know, like I haven't even said anything. I haven't even talked. But it's just,
right away.
Because even the way Americans walk, the way we carry ourselves, it's very different. Yeah. I remember when I was at school in Japan, though, the last story about me, and then I'll move on. Sorry. Is that I was in Japan and I was in school and all these kids surrounded me and they started making fun of me because I was American. But so I thought I was about to get my butt kicked, right? Because like, why else would they surround me? So the first thing I did is I threw a punch. I knocked this guy out. I threw another punch. I knocked this other guy out. And then they all ran. Because in Japan, physical confrontation is not what you're supposed to, you know, like they're just going to shame me, right? I'm from America where like, if you surround me, I'm about to get my butt kicked.
But you did go to school. That's why I asked you.
No, just for like summer, like a fourth quarter.
That's what I meant. That's like, yeah. I remember this is the story I remember you telling me. That's crazy.
Yeah. So like, I just remember it being really funny because I'd be like, yeah, I thought they were going to hurt, like because all my relatives were ashamed of me and stuff. But I was like, I thought they're going to fight me. So I thought they're going to like
beat ashamed of you.
Because in America, like if I got surrounded in America, I'm going to get my butt kicked, right? Like,
so they don't mad at you for dropping those kids?
Yeah, because you're not supposed to do that. That's not Japanese. That's not a Japanese thing at all. Anyway, sorry. Let's get back to you.
when did you get Koji? Like, it sounds like a long time ago that you were there.
It was like when I was a kid, so like early 80s. 80s.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, this is before.
Like kids, not when you were 8. That's crazy.
No, because when you were kids, like you're like, you know, or now it's like you walk around. There's like foreigners.
Yeah.
Like people, but back then there would be like I would never see anybody who like. I was like pretty much the only different person there. You know, every once in a while you'll see white people. Every once in a while you see other Asians, but it was very, very like Japanese still. Yeah, and then when you go to the countryside, it's all Japanese, right? And that was even worse. But in Japan, but like now you go to Tokyo, it's like you have like Africans, you have like Chinese, you know, you have Koreans, you have white people in Hapa, you have all these different groups of people, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, but let's move on. You know, so like what has been most surprising about Los Angeles for you?
Los Angeles, how spread out it was. Like I remember like the first day when I got to Los Angeles, the first week actually. So I was staying in a friend's place and he and his wife were up in Canada having their first baby and I had the whole house to myself. I woke up at 2 or 3 in the afternoon every day because I was jet lagged, right? And then it was very early in January or very late in December and the sun went down 5:30. So I only had like 2 hours of sunlight and it was pretty much dark all the time. But then that wasn't what I thought California would be. We all hear of the sunshine in California. All of a sudden I'm like, why is California so dark all the time? And I was all alone. And when it's dark in LA, like in Singapore where I'm from, it's so compact and it's so dense. Even when it's dark, there's light somewhere. There's a street lamp. There's somebody's home that's lit. And I felt at the time that when it's dark in LA, it's like pitch dark, and I was kind of scared, to be honest. So that was my first impression.
Where were you? What part of LA were you?
Eagle Rock.
Eagle Rock. Oh yeah. That's where Martin lives.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Eagle Rock used to not be nice though.
Now it's better, right? Yeah.
It's getting better. Yeah, but there's still like pockets, but it's still like back then. I remember I'm like, yeah, it's not. It was kind of sketchy at points, but it is
what I felt coming from Asia. Yeah. But I hear like it's picked up a lot. Even when I was there, I hear it's picked up a lot already.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's expensive. Like they're all expensive homes. I mean, Martin lives in like a $10 million home over there,
next to the rock.
Martin, do you have any questions for Thomas?
So you've been here. You said 4 years now.
5 years, yeah, a bit more than 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
And are you making your films here now? Are you working on anything right now?
Well, I have a couple of films in development, and Koji is actually writing one, if not 2 of them. And then they're all in development right now. And I mean, in a way, it's good that they're in development because the virus wouldn't allow us to shoot anyway. So we were not shooting anything before COVID hit, so we didn't have to shut down, and development still goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, we are looking for we looked for writers, and we found a lot of them in LA because LA has a lot of writers. LA is like I say, the film capital of the world, in my opinion.
Everything.
Writers are here.
Yeah. Are your films gonna be American? Are they American, or are they more?
A couple of them will be. I have 18 films on my slate actually. So half of them will be English language, 2 Japanese language, 1 Korean language, and the rest will be Chinese language. A lot of them will move back to Asia to shoot when it's finished writing, and a couple of them will stay in America to shoot to get produced.
Do you speak Japanese?
No, not much. Just very basic. I speak Chinese though.
Mandarin and Cantonese?
Mandarin and Cantonese both.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I wish you luck with your films. That's awesome that you're here now doing it.
No, thanks. Yeah, it was hard. I mean, like it's so hard to break in, like in especially that I'm not even American.
Yeah, I'm an actor myself, so it's I got to LA to be become an actor, so I know it's tough. It's tough. But I'm from Africa, and as an African actor here, the issues that I go through are, you're not American enough, you're not black enough, There's a different like Koji was talking about. They just know you're not born in Japan. It's the same thing for me here. It's just when he said that, I was like, wow, that's how it is for me here.
Yeah.
When I run into African Americans here, especially as an actor, they just knew instantly that there's something up with this guy. I can't tell you how many times that happened, Koji.
Well, I mean, that's like Kobe, right? I mean, that was one of the things about Kobe not getting along with other teammates was that he didn't grow up like those guys. I mean, he grew up in Italy.
Yeah.
He had money. He had like a lot of education. I mean, he just that was one of the things that really separated him from his teammates, I think. And I think that was like, especially in the beginning of his career when he's young, he had a hard time really relating.
It's all about relating to them.
That's right. Yeah.
Now that's the issue that I've had.
But did you grow up in America, Martin?
No, I grew up in Africa. I grew up in Zambia. I moved here when I was almost 18.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you did grow up somewhere else, okay?
Yeah, and I still have most of my family there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's definitely a disconnect in some ways. Yeah.
Yeah. So this part has been always kind of tough for me. Like in Asia, it is the cities that I've lived in Asia. First of all, it's more compact and dense, and people are more nosy in a fun way. So they always want to know what's going on with you. So in a way, they care about what's going on with you all the time. They will look out for you. But then there's also no privacy because of that. So I kind of miss that, to be honest. Like here, people don't ask me enough questions about my private life.
Girlfriend here?
Huh?
So you got a girlfriend here? I'm being nosy now.
No, I don't know. So no, yeah. But I did come with my ex-wife previously. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I didn't come alone. But then now. No. To be honest, I wish I had a kid like during the quarantine time to look after, like that would be like quality time spent. I think. I don't know.
No, you don't.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Koji knows it's kind of like a running thing on our show. I love Koji's son. He's such a cool kid, man.
Yeah, it's a little bit unhealthy, I think.
What is?
Why did you go there, man? It's so
I'm just kidding. All right, let's move on. So Martin, let's this we're at the time of our show where we decide whether we want to hear from our guests his best moment or his worst moment of his life. What do you think, Martin? What do you want?
Go best. I can't do any worst.
Really? We've done two bests in a row. You sure you want to do it? We should do another one.
There's enough bad out there, man. I don't know. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, you want best? Okay. I'm actually really curious to hear what Thomas's best moment. So Thomas, tell us what your best moment of your life is.
So it's a moment and it's not a day, right?
It could be whatever, however you want to interpret it. It could be a moment, it could be a day, it could be
experience.
Yeah.
The best moment, one of the best moments, I must say. There's so many that is it the best or is it like one of the best?
Whatever you want to.
It's a great moment.
It's very profound. I mean, it's something you can go back to like instantly and have almost that same feeling. There's always something.
Yeah. So
we all have a lot of good moments, but there's always one. I mean, there's always one or maybe two that are just like, wow, you go back and, you know.
So there are these moments that I feel like teach me something in life, and they sort of change or instill in me a certain thought or a certain way of looking at life, right? So when I was a kid, and very few people know this other than maybe my mom or a few of my like really like kindergarten friends or something. I was a pretty good like at drawing, like, you know, at using a pencil and drawing something on a piece of paper, that kind of thing. So when I was a kid, my mom used to bring me to the Singapore Zoo, which is considered one of the best zoos in the world, like for drawing competitions. So we draw like my favorite are the big cats, the lions, the tigers, because as a little boy, like you love all this kind of thing. So I kept drawing and I kept winning those zoo competitions, I call them, for 5-6 years in a row, until when I became a teenager. And I remember this moment, and the cheetahs, you know, like the fast running cats, the cheetahs are one of my favorite animals. And as I got older, I learned more about like them, these cats, from just books, right? At the time there was no internet. So I was reading books about lions, tigers. I was fascinated by them. And then along came the cheetah, and I was like so fascinated that you can accelerate from 0 to 60 or to 100 kilometers per hour. I guess that's 60 or 70 in 3 seconds. You know, I was like, wow, like this is amazing. This is like more amazing than a car. So I went to the cheetah enclosure to draw a cheetah. And then I saw baby cheetahs born, because the Singapore Zoo is so great that baby animals, like little animals, are born there all the time. But then when I saw the baby cheetahs, the first thing I thought at that time, although I was like maybe 12 or 13 years old, was that these cheetahs will never be a complete cheetah, because the enclosure is not big enough for them to go from 0 to 60 or 70 miles per hour in 3 seconds. There's no way they're going to do that unless there's an earthquake one day where there's no earthquakes, unless there's a natural disaster of some sort that breaks the zoo open and the cheetahs are free running. Otherwise, these baby cheetahs will never know how it would feel, what they were actually born to do. You know, every cheetah has that potential to do that, right? Yeah. But then they will never know that. And that to me makes me feel like if you're in the wrong environment, you'll never realize your fullest potential. And that was a profound moment in my very young life at that time when I saw the baby cheetahs. They were just barely starting to walk, I guess, just walking around their little enclosure. And then I continued to be fascinated by animals. Even these days, you know, when I watch animal documentaries, I'm like fascinated by how animals are built to do what they're meant to do, right? So as I got older, I saw this animal documentary about cheetahs again. And then there was this cheetah chasing a wild hare or wild rabbit that ran at I think half its speed. So then I had another moment that made me feel like, if you're chasing the wrong goal, so to speak, because then the cheetah would run only as fast as its prey, because the cheetah will never outrun it, because there's no point running faster than your prey, right? So those were two, like when I saw Koji's email about like profound moments or best moments, those were two moments that always stayed in me, that Animal Kingdom taught me that first you got to be in the right environment, and then you got to be chasing the right goal in order to realize your fullest potential. So that I thought was like always stayed with me.
Wow, that's a really profound one. But
I was like, whoa.
But before I ask you a question about it, I do want to mention that if you go to the San Diego Wildlife Park, have you ever been there?
No, but I've been to the San Diego Zoo.
No, the wildlife park. They actually have like they have a cheetah enclosure where they can run as fast as they can because it's really, really long, and there's no cage that way, so you can see a cheetah get to its full potential. But anyway, sorry, Mark, do you have a thought?
What's that?
You have a thought or question you wanted about?
No, I was just gonna say I was actually gonna mention the same thing because we took Grayson to the San Diego, that San Diego Park, that
Wildlife
whatever
park.
It's called.
Yeah,
the wildlife park, and because growing up in Africa, it's very true, Thomas. We used to go to the game parks, and the animals were just wild. And I'll never forget the first time that I came here, and went to a zoo. I saw the lions in the enclosure, and I was like, wow. These lions, it's not the same thing, man.
No,
it really isn't. I mean, the lions they're a little fierce, but you put those lions in the zoo out in the wild, and they're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
They have no idea. And so when we went to the wildlife park in San Diego, my son got to see the cheetah because they have a cheetah, and then they have I don't know if it's a greyhound. I think it's a greyhound that runs with they're like a buddy animal.
Okay.
And they'll have them chase this thing. And so what they do to give you context is they'll put you've been there or no?
No, I haven't
been there. So they'll put they have this thing on a zip line or something, and they'll have the greyhound chase it first, and it's fast. It's like, whoa. And then they'll have the cheetah do the same thing. And I have it on video. This cheetah just it was unbelievable how fast he was. I remember Koji when he stopped, he skipped for like 10 feet. It stops. We were just like, we waited for maybe 40 minutes for this thing to happen, and the 3 seconds that it took to watch it was worth it. I've never seen anything that fast in my life that wasn't a car.
Yeah,
it was so. When you talk about the right, it's so true. The right environment, it's a great lesson. The right environment will really, bring out the fruit of your labor.
Yes.
So that was great. Yeah.
I remember like back then when I saw that at that moment too, because the cheetahs are animals from Africa. So in the Singapore Zoo they have this African section where it's the lions, the cheetahs, the zebras. So the zebras are just next to the cheetah enclosure. And then when I had that moment, I was looking at the zebra as well, like just across the little walkway. And I'm like, so this cheetah is gonna grow up the same way as the zebras do. And they're not going to be any different, and they're not going to realize that what they were, so to speak, born to do. So I think the right environment and also like chasing the right goal, I would say, will bring out the fullest potential. And life is about self-discovery, I guess.
Yeah, it is.
Do you still draw?
Not too much. Yeah, I sort of dropped that for many decades now, for 20, 30 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's just lack of time, I guess.
The
same way I don't really play basketball anymore. Like I used to play so much when I was a teenager.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna play once we get our team back. We're gonna get a team together, so you'll play on that team. So.
Yeah. I like to. Yeah, I'm so itching to play. Like after watching The Last Dance,
I haven't watched that yet. Have you watched it, Koji?
Of course. I've been loving it.
Yeah, he must have.
Yeah, I especially love.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I was never a huge MJ fan, but I like watching it with the Lakers stuff and the Kobe stuff, and I watch it in the lens of the Lakers because, as everyone knows, I'm a huge Laker fan, and everything is the lens of the Lakers. So I only watch that show. I mostly watch the ones with the Lakers involved in it. So like the '92 and the Kobe year. And,
Tell you what.
Yeah.
When did Kobe go to the NBA?
98?
97?
97? But he was in the 98 was he 97 playoffs? Or 97 All-Star or 98 All-Star?
He won the slam dunk in 97.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. 97. So it must have been 97 then. Yeah. See?
Yes,
Thomas knows more than me. So tell me, so when you think of that incident, when you think of the incident of the kind of being at that zoo and stuff, how does it apply to your life now? Like, does it inform your decisions? Do you think about it?
Well, I think so. I mean, like there's still a lot of like profound thoughts that came out of it, and I mean, one of the things I always believe is that like life is only hard when it lacks purpose and meaning.
Oh, that's so true.
Right? It's not so much the circumstances. Is really more about the purpose and meaning. Especially that fortunate people like us, to be honest, like we are like the minority of the people in the world, fortunate enough to be able to have the chance to chase our dreams, right? Like people are just struggling to survive elsewhere. So the cheetah thing made me always wanted to like go to a higher environment to achieve my fullest potential, to spread my wings to the fullest. And I would say like eventually sort of brought me to LA. And also, I mean, since we're talking about The Last Dance as well, like not to exaggerate at all, like if I didn't idolize MJ growing up, I don't think I'll be in LA, because Michael Jordan like sort of showed me like you have to overcome the odds, you know, like no matter how high the odds are, you can overcome it, and you have to be competitive and all that. That's why I was really against like Kevin Durant joining the Warriors back then, because you cannot join the enemy. You know, like in my opinion, you can join anybody else for longevity of your career, for money, whatever it is. You just cannot join someone you couldn't beat. If MJ joined the Pistons or the Celtics back then,
wow,
I'll be ruined. I'll be ruined. It's almost like Kevin Durant joining the Warriors, don't you think?
Wow.
It's like Kobe joining who? Sacramento?
I'm just saying, Giannis. It's okay if Giannis comes to LA, though. I'm just gonna put that out there. No, I mean, you know what it is. It bothered me at first, you know, a little bit, that kind of thing. But then the way I think about those, like Kevin Durant and any of those guys, is that they should be able to do whatever they want to do, and they should be able to work wherever they want. And you know, these owners have they don't care about these players. You know, like look at Isaiah Thomas in Boston. Remember he played when he was injured. He played when his sister got killed, and then he hurt himself, and his career was over. And they traded him that year. You know, it's like, come on, man. It's like, no way. You got to make as much money as you can and go to the right situation. That, you know, because Kevin Durant needed to go to Golden State Warriors because he couldn't win. He's not a winner. You know. Well,
I guess I'm taking it from like a fan, a kid fan perspective.
Yeah.
Like the way I looked at basketball in the late 80s and 90s.
Yeah, but also basketball.
How old are you, Thomas?
Huh?
How old are you? If you don't mind asking.
I'm 42. I'm same as Koji.
Yeah.
He was born in the same year, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the thing about basketball now, though, is if you talk to the kids, most kids are fans of players, not of teams anymore.
Yeah.
So, like LeBron James is like, you're a LeBron James fan if he's on Miami or Cleveland or the Lakers. Whereas, like, back in our day, it was like you're a Laker fan or you know, a Boston fan or a Knicks fan or whatever. And that was it. But you know, we're old breed now. Like, you know, like for them, it's like it's all about empowerment and you know and the players. But which makes me sad because I'm a super Laker fan. All right, well, we've Thomas. Is there a place that people could follow you to find out what you're doing, what you're working on?
Sure. I mean, I have Instagram and also Facebook. Like my handle is always LA, like Los Angeles. Thomas Lim with an M, like Mary. Okay. So Thomas Lim is my name. LA Thomas Lim is my handle, and across social media, I'm LA Thomas Lim.
Okay, so I'll put a post up for everybody who's listening to this. Or I mean, I'll put a link in our notes so people can follow Thomas and see what you're working on, and maybe you guys could eventually see the project I'm writing for you guys because that'd be awesome. But so thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for listening. Please rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast. Please let people know about this podcast. Please join us on our social medias. I think it's Best or Worst Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and we have a Twitter, but I never use it, so don't even bother coming to the Twitter page. But please, thank you very much, and make sure to tell a friend, and make sure to write a review. Those are really, really helpful. So
yeah, please, guys, please.
And then if everyone out there could to let one person know about the show, this is a labor of love for Martin and I. So this is an opportunity to make sure the show keeps going for another 32 episodes.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Great. So thank you guys. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Thomas. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Thank you. Thanks.